Welcome back to GAMEpoch. Here's episode 2 of Super Mario Brothers. Alright, so, talking about this game and the impact it had. I mean, and it goes beyond just even the controls and scrolling screens. Graphics, this looked really good for its time. It wasn't, like, groundbreaking, and it wasn't that there weren't better visuals of some kind, especially on PC. Although that's a bit debatable because a lot of PC games would play tricks. But even at this point, it was kind of hard for PCs, computers, I should say, because I don't really think anyone would care to call Apple II a PC, and that was the biggest gaming computer to start off with. But for a long time, actually, only until the last several years, consoles had an advantage over PCs with their hardware. They were able to get dedicated hardware that could be ahead of the curve in one way or another. In some ways, they would actually cut corners and go with slightly older hardware. Like, actually, the Nintendo had an older CPU, but it had... No, I can't remember exactly what it was, but something about its video or its sound or something was newer and more enhanced. And it allowed it to be more powerful and have more dedication for those things so that the processor, aged as it was, could still be better utilized to, running for its games or something like that. Anyway, point being, generally speaking, hardware for consoles was typically better than PCs. At least especially when they would first come out. As the years would pass and video cards and audio cards, sound cards and stuff like that would get better and better with time. People could upgrade their... I may have gone the wrong way. People could upgrade their PCs to have fairly equivalent performance and capabilities. But no, this game was beautiful for its time. Nothing, like, absolutely mind-blowing, but really nice looking. And it had a very consistent art style and feel to its environments, its monsters, Mario, the power-ups, the effects, everything just felt good. God, that always happens to me! And that was a Spiny. So, this looked great, and a lot of it was really emphasized by its sound, and that's, I think, the bigger point, was the sound design and the music of this game were just brilliant. I don't even need to say it, because pretty much everybody in the world, or at least everybody in, developed countries, for the most part, everybody knows who Mario is, and everybody knows everybody knows his theme. Everybody knows everybody knows these themes. They're just part of our culture and part of video game life, and everybody knows it. And that's huge. I mean, that's an important point to make, because it really showed how important good sound design and good music is for a memorable, meaningful, and quality gaming experience and project and piece of work, piece of art. This thing had such great music because Koji Kondo is brilliant and amazingly talented. The guy came from a classically trained environment and took painstaking detail with all these compositions, being very careful with all the timings, the tempos, and he would even revisit some of his themes later on, like the Game Over theme and the Death theme, both borrow from the main Overworld theme. Dun 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 da 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 da. I mean, that's a borrowed melody straight from this theme right here that we're listening to. So he started that, or really popularized it at least. He was able to tweak it and change the mood and the feel just enough to give it a completely different impact, while still making it belong and feel like it was part of the same experience. I mean, the attention to detail and the quality with which he took this writing speaks for itself, and emphasized the importance of really good sound and audio and music quality. And the sound design even is fantastic. Being able to have such... I love these sound effects. They made the visuals really stand out and, like, be meaningful for me. Getting a power-up just felt and sounded so cool. And, oh, dying is just... It just hurts, you know, getting hit and losing a power-up is painful because you hear it, you feel it, it's... Ugh. I mean, the attention to detail with every aspect of this game was just outstanding. Now you look at this and go, this is not a pretty game. Nothing impressive about this. And of course nowadays that's true. But, I mean, when this was the best that they were able to come up with at the time, and that's how you have to approach all these old games. You have to approach them for their time. And you have to do it right. I say that because there are some games that, like, you could say that about and be like, well, maybe you're just being harsh on the way it looks because you're not putting yourself in its time frame. It was back in the day when graphics weren't so good. But that's still not correct for that specific example, because even for its time, it came after other games that looked infinitely better. Are you kidding me? That was not even touching his foot pixel. Ugh, that's the thing about games. They have hitboxes. And hitboxes do not necessarily match up with the pixels. Sometimes that's for the player's benefit, and sometimes it's for the detriment. In this stage, it has been to my detriment. Oh, I'm losing all my lives. Come on, let me at least get to World 6, please. Oh, jump! Gah! Okay. Okay. Wow. I'm not being careful. I'm getting impatient. As a complete package, this game delivered. One of the things that was crap. Got it and lost it. One of the things that was so cool about this was that because it looked so good, it felt like you were playing an arcade visually. Wow! I'm really struggling. That's it. Time to use some warp pipes. You ready for this? Because I'm not giving up on this game. It's going to happen. I'm really disappointed in myself. Okay. Anyway, because, like, there were a lot of games that would come out for early consoles that just looked horrible. Partially because the hardware was just bad. You know, it wasn't nearly as good as the dedicated hardware for these arcades. But also, part of it would sometimes be because the talent or complete lack of effort or care of whoever was programming it, or the programmers would be put under ridiculous time limits. And actually, this is important because this is what came into play with both the Atari 2600 games E.T. and Pac-Man, which were two of the worst console gaming disasters in history, and were tantamount to the giant console gaming crash of 1983. They weren't the only cause. No single or even two games could do that by themselves. But they definitely made a huge impact and kind of were the straws that broke the camel's back. Well, it was more like a bundle of hay than just a straw. But anyway, with both of those stories, the developers were given very limited time frames. This is the story as I understand it, to develop their software. They, you know, were being hounded by their suit and tie overlords, saying, hey, we want to get these out by the Christmas season, so you've got 2 weeks to program this game, because we just decided we're going to do it, or we just got the licensing, or whatever. And, I don't know how many of you watching this are programmers, but even if you're a really good programmer, you're gonna be hard-pressed to make a great game, even with existing materials, in 2 weeks. And that's with modern-day APIs and game engines. It's just not gonna happen. But that's what these guys had to go through. And that was even, you know, and that even worse, that was, you know, having to do this on consoles, which required, like, their own assembly language, basically. Like, it was ridiculous having to code on these old gaming consoles. I can't imagine doing it. I am a programmer myself, so I have a lot of sympathy for people who program for those old games. And unfortunately, as a result, the quality of the games that were released suffered immensely. Pac-Man on the 2600 was a gigantic disappointment. It looked like blue puke. It was horrendous. Like, look, I'm gonna show them right here. That is a side-by-side of the arcade version of Pac-Man from a couple years before versus the 2600 version of Pac-Man that people paid good money to buy and bring home. I mean, how pissed off would you be? And that doesn't even show you how buggy and broken the game was. It was unplayable. It was so bad because he didn't have time to debug it. He didn't have time to finish it. It was such bad shape. There was just nothing he could do. Oh, I didn't even finish 5-4, so I'm just gonna have to go to World 5. Ah, that's such a bummer. Well, so check this out. I love these mushrooms. They were so charming to look at with their old graphics, the bright colors and everything. Oh, whoops. Well, I'm currently skipping World 5, but I was there. We'll just count that. Sorry. Alright, so I'm gonna pause it. Night time for the next episode. So I'll see you guys there. Thanks for checking in. Bye.